Maya Collins stood in the waiting hall with her hands shaking. Around her, other students from the Interstellar Hunter Academy checked their datapads with excitement. The test results were about to arrive. For 3 years, she had trained to become a hunter, someone who could control monster species from across the galaxy. These creatures were used in wars, construction, mining, and many other dangerous jobs. A good hunter could command dozens of monsters at once through neural connection technology. Her friend Amanda Price squealed with joy. She had received an A-class ranking, one of the highest possible scores. Only 10 students from their class of 200 got A-class ratings. Amanda would be assigned to a military fleet, commanding powerful warhounds and battle serpents in actual combat. Kevin Hughes, sitting near the window, smiled at his B-class rating. He would work on construction projects, controlling rock crushers and metal shapers to build colonies on new worlds. Maya took a deep breath and opened her results. Her heart sank. F-class. The lowest ranking possible. Her neural resonance score was nearly 0, meaning she could barely connect with any monster species. The official assignment came next. Forward Outpost Zeta 9, a research station on the edge of known space. She had heard about places like that. They were where the Alliance sent people they wanted to forget. Amanda walked over and put a hand on her shoulder. "I'm sorry, Maya. Maybe you can retrain or something." Her words were kind, but Maya could see the pity in her eyes. Kevin just looked uncomfortable and pretended to check his pad again. Within an hour, everyone knew. Maya Collins was a failure. 2 weeks later, Maya arrived at Outpost Zeta 9 on a supply transport. The station was small, built into an asteroid floating in empty space. As she walked through the gray corridors, she noticed how quiet everything was. Back at the academy, there had always been noise, students talking, monsters roaring in the training pens, instructors shouting commands. Here, there was only the hum of life support systems. Commander Greg Palmer met her in the main hub. He was a tall man in his 40s with tired eyes. "Welcome to the end of the line," he said without humor. "You're our 14th F-class hunter. We study monsters that nobody else can control. Dangerous ones. Unpredictable ones. The ones that have killed their previous handlers." He led her through the station. She met some of the other hunters. Danny Foster was young like her, maybe 22, with nervous energy. He tried too hard to be friendly. Linda Carter was older, around 35, and barely looked up when Maya introduced herself. She had been at the outpost for 7 years. Peter Brooks was convinced the Alliance was running secret experiments on them. He talked fast and kept checking over his shoulder. "Why do they keep us here?" Maya asked Greg during the tour. He shrugged. "Because somebody has to catalog these creatures. And because we cost less than the good hunters. They figure if we die, it's no big loss. F-class is replaceable." Her first assignment came the next morning. Greg handed her a protective suit and a neural control helmet. "You're feeding the Void Stalkers," he said. "They're shadow creatures from a dead star system. 3 people are in the medical bay because of them. Don't try to control them. Just throw in the food and get out." Maya walked to the containment area. Through the reinforced glass, she could see dark shapes moving in the shadows. They looked like smoke given form, with eyes that glowed faint purple. When she entered the feeding chamber, they immediately noticed her. The Void Stalkers began to circle, making clicking sounds that hurt her ears. She was supposed to use the helmet to force them back while she threw in the food. That was standard procedure. But Maya looked at the creatures and felt something different. They were not angry. They were scared. She could see it in how they moved, always keeping distance, always watching for threats. These creatures had been hurt before. Maya took off the helmet and sat down on the floor. She spoke quietly. "I'm not going to hurt you. I just need to give you food." The Void Stalkers stopped circling. They tilted their heads, watching her with those purple eyes. Slowly, very slowly, Maya pushed the food container forward and backed away. The creatures waited until she was at a safe distance, then came forward to eat. In the security room, Greg Palmer watched the camera feed with wide eyes. The Void Stalkers were eating calmly. One of them looked directly at the camera, then back at Maya. It was the first time in 6 months that a feeding had gone without incident. He made a note in his log. Maybe this new F-class hunter was different. Or maybe she had just been lucky. Over the next few days, Maya worked with different monster species at the outpost. Each morning, Greg gave her assignments that other hunters refused to do. The creatures were all labeled as uncontrollable, too dangerous for normal operations. But Maya noticed something that nobody else seemed to see. They were not evil or mindless. They were just frightened and angry after years of being forced to obey through pain. The Crimson Ravagers were insect-like creatures that came from a hot jungle world. They usually attacked anyone who came near their habitat, swarming together like angry bees. But when Maya entered their space, she moved slowly and hummed softly. The Ravagers stopped their aggressive clicking. Their antennae twitched as they sensed her calm energy. After 10 minutes, they allowed her to clean their habitat without a single attack. The Frost WYRMS were even more interesting. These snake-like creatures from an ice planet had frozen 3 handlers before. They could lower the temperature around them to dangerous levels. Maya spent an hour just sitting outside their containment area, letting them get used to her presence. When she finally entered, the WYRMS approached her slowly. One of them, the largest, coiled its body around her in what looked like a hug. Its scales were cold but not freezing. It was being gentle. Danny Foster watched Maya work and started copying her methods. He had always used the neural helmet to force monsters to obey. Now he tried talking to them instead. With the rock borers he managed, the results were small but real. They stopped trying to escape when he cleaned their area. Linda Carter noticed too, but she just shook her head. "Don't get your hopes up," she told Maya. "The Alliance doesn't care about treating monsters nicely. They just want tools that work." 2 weeks after Maya arrived, the outpost received special visitors. Amanda Price came on an inspection tour with a military escort. She looked sharp in her A-class uniform, with medals already pinned to her chest. Behind her walked several armed soldiers and a team of scientists. They were checking on the outpost's progress with difficult monster species. Amanda hugged Maya when she saw her. "How are you holding up?" she asked. There was genuine concern in her voice, but also something else. Relief, maybe, that she was not the one stuck at this forgotten station. Maya showed her around the facility. When they reached the training area, Amanda wanted to demonstrate proper handling techniques. She put on her neural control helmet and stepped into a pen with 6 warhounds. These were standard military creatures, bred for obedience. Amanda's helmet glowed as she sent commands directly into their brains. The warhounds moved in perfect formation, turned in unison, sat down together. It was impressive. The scientists took notes and nodded with approval. But Maya watched the warhounds closely. Their eyes were empty. They moved like puppets on strings, with no choice in their actions. When Amanda removed the helmet, the creatures immediately moved away from her and lay down in the corner. They did not trust her. They only obeyed because they had to. "Your turn," Amanda said with a smile. "Show me what F-class can do." There was no meanness in her words, but Maya felt the challenge anyway. She walked to the Void Stalker habitat without a helmet. The creatures emerged from the shadows immediately when they sensed her. They circled around her, but not like predators. More like dogs greeting their owner after a long day. One Void Stalker, the one Maya had started calling Shadow, pressed its smoky head against her hand. She scratched behind what might have been its ears. The creature made a purring sound. Amanda stared. The scientists stopped writing and just watched. These were supposed to be the most dangerous creatures in the facility. "How are you doing that?" Amanda asked. Maya shrugged. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just being kind to them." Amanda frowned. "But you're not even using the neural connection. How can they follow your commands?" Maya looked at Shadow and the other Void Stalkers. "I'm not giving commands. We're just spending time together." Amanda did not understand. To her, monsters were tools. You controlled them or you failed. The idea of cooperation seemed impossible. She dismissed what she had seen. "It's cute, Maya, but these broken monsters don't count. Real hunters work with battle-ready creatures, not damaged ones." She left the next morning with her escort, returning to her important military work. But Greg Palmer had been watching everything through the security cameras. He pulled up weeks of footage showing Maya with different creatures. Every single one responded to her with trust instead of fear. He started a private file, documenting each interaction. Something very unusual was happening at Outpost Zeta 9, and he wanted to understand what it was before reporting it to Alliance Command. 3 weeks after Amanda's visit, everything changed. Alliance Command sent Dr. Helen Morris to evaluate the outpost. She was a famous xenobiologist who had studied monster species for 30 years. The official reason for her visit was to check if any F-class hunters could be retrained for better positions. But Greg suspected there was more to it. Dr. Morris arrived with a team of scientists and a transport ship full of equipment. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that noticed everything. She interviewed each hunter, asking about their methods and results. When she spoke with Maya, she asked different questions than she had asked the others. "Why do you think these creatures respond to you?" Maya thought about it. "I think they're tired of being hurt. When someone finally treats them with respect, they remember." Dr. Morris wanted to run tests. Over the next few days, Maya worked with creature after creature while scientists measured everything: brain activity, chemical signals, temperature changes, neural patterns. The results were always the same. Maya showed no signs of using the standard neural control that other hunters relied on. Yet the creatures still cooperated with her perfectly. Then came the real test. A transport arrived with a new creature, something nobody had seen before. It was called a nightmare strider, captured from a dark planet where the sun never rose. The creature was huge, standing 3 meters tall on 4 legs like a wolf, but its body seemed to shift and change shape. It had killed 3 hunters during capture and 2 more during transport. The Alliance wanted to know if it could ever be controlled. Dr. Morris decided to use the Nightmare Strider for Maya's final evaluation. A test chamber was prepared with reinforced walls and emergency protocols. Medical teams stood ready. Amanda and Kevin were both present, having been called back to witness the test. Military officials watched from the observation deck. Everyone expected Maya to fail, possibly to die. That was what happened with Nightmare Striders. Greg tried to stop the test. "This is too dangerous. She's not ready for something like this." But Dr. Morris shook her head. "She's ready. I've seen the data. Either she has a real gift, or we're all wrong about how monster control works. Either way, we need to know." Maya entered the chamber alone. The Nightmare Strider was chained to the far wall, growling and thrashing. Its eyes glowed red with anger and pain. She could see scars all over its body from weapons and control devices. This creature had been tortured in the name of science. No wonder it was violent. She did not approach. Instead, Maya sat down on the floor in the middle of the room. She spoke quietly, not to the creature but to herself. "I'm sorry they hurt you. I'm sorry you're afraid. I won't hurt you. I promise." The Nightmare Strider stopped thrashing. It stared at her with those red eyes. Minutes passed. The creature tested its chains, looking for a way to escape. Maya just sat there, breathing calmly. She thought about her own fear when she had received her F-class rating. The feeling of being rejected, of being told she was worthless. Maybe the Nightmare Strider felt the same way. Maybe it just wanted someone to see it as more than a dangerous animal. After 20 minutes, something changed. The Nightmare Strider's eyes shifted from red to amber. It stopped pulling against the chains. Slowly, carefully, it lowered itself to the ground. Then it began to crawl toward Maya. In the observation room, someone shouted to activate the emergency shields. But Dr. Morris raised her hand. "Wait. Just wait." The creature reached Maya and towered over her. She could feel its breath on her face, hot and smelling like metal. One wrong move and it could kill her in seconds. But Maya did not run. She looked up into those amber eyes and smiled softly. "You're beautiful," she whispered. "Under all that anger, you're beautiful." The Nightmare Strider made a sound, something between a whimper and a sigh. Then it settled down beside Maya like a giant guard dog. Its shifting body became solid and still. Maya reached out slowly and touched its head. The creature leaned into her hand. In the observation room, nobody spoke. Dr. Morris's equipment showed 0 neural control signals. There was no force being used, no technology making the creature obey. This was something completely different. Amanda stared at the screens in disbelief. Kevin looked pale. One of the military officials muttered, "How is this possible?" Dr. Morris smiled for the first time since arriving. She turned to her team. "Run a full analysis. I want every detail documented. This changes everything we thought we knew about monster handling." She looked at Greg Palmer. "Commander, I need to speak with Alliance Command immediately. They're going to want to see this." Within a week, everything went wrong. Dr. Morris completed her analysis and sent her findings to Alliance Command. Maya's brain showed a completely different type of neural activity than other hunters. Where standard hunters broadcast dominance signals that forced monsters to obey, Maya created something the scientists called empathy bridges. She was not controlling the creatures. She was communicating with them as equals. Alliance Command saw this as a military breakthrough. General Patricia Hayes arrived with 3 warships and a team of military scientists. She was a stern woman with cold eyes and a record of victories across the frontier wars. She wanted to turn Maya's ability into a weapon. If they could copy her neural patterns and put them into technology, they could control every dangerous monster species in the galaxy. Maya was ordered to participate in mandatory testing. The military scientists wanted to map every part of her brain, understand every chemical signal she produced. They talked about her like she was a machine to be reverse-engineered. When Maya asked what would happen to the creatures, General Hayes gave her a cold smile. "They'll be sent to military facilities for combat training. We're ending the frontier wars, and these creatures will help us do it." Maya refused. "These creatures aren't weapons. They've been hurt enough. I won't help you hurt them more." General Hayes frowned. "You don't have a choice, Hunter. This is a military order." But Maya stood firm. "Then court-martial me." "I won't do it." The situation got worse. Amanda Price was reassigned to take over the outpost and implement proper military protocols. She arrived with armed soldiers and new equipment. The plan was to separate all the creatures and ship them to different facilities. The Void Stalkers would go to a Black Ops division. The Frost WYRMS to a mining colony. The Nightmare Strider to a combat research lab. Greg Palmer was offered his old B-class ranking back if he cooperated. He met with Maya in private. "They're taking everything. All the progress we've made here, all the trust you've built, they're going to destroy it." His hands were shaking. "I'm sorry, Maya. I can't stop them." But Maya was not alone. Linda Carter, who had given up years ago, found her spine again. "I've been a coward for too long. If you're standing up to them, I'm with you." Danny Foster agreed immediately. "For once, let's do something that actually matters." Even Peter Brooks stopped talking about conspiracies and started planning real action. The F-class hunters began preparing in secret. Peter had been building an unauthorized communication network for years, paranoid that the Alliance was spying on them. Now that network became useful. They coordinated their efforts, knowing they had only days before the military took over completely. On the day the military forces arrived in full strength, Maya made her stand. General Hayes brought neural override devices built from Maya's brain scans. The technology was supposed to force the creatures into submission using artificial empathy signals. Soldiers entered the habitats expecting easy compliance. But the devices failed. The creatures reacted violently because the forced empathy felt like a violation of trust. The Void Stalkers attacked. The Frost WYRMS froze the soldiers' equipment. The Crimson Ravagers swarmed in defensive formation. 3 soldiers were injured before General Hayes ordered a retreat. Maya walked into the chaos alone. Every creature in the outpost sensed her presence and emerged from their habitats. Void Stalkers, Crimson Ravagers, Frost WYRMS, the Nightmare Strider, and dozens of other dangerous species, all gathered around her. They did not attack. They simply stood between Maya and the military forces like a living wall of protection. "You can't force connection," Maya said clearly, her voice carrying across the station. "You never could. That's why they were called uncontrollable in the first place. They were fighting back against being enslaved." General Hayes raised her weapon. "Disperse those creatures now, or I'll order lethal force." Dr. Morris stepped forward. "General, wait. Let her demonstrate what she's achieved here. Give her 1 hour." General Hayes was not a patient woman, but she was smart enough to know when something unusual was happening. 1 hour. That's all. Maya worked with the creatures, not through commands but through cooperation. The Frost WYRMS created beautiful ice structures that could serve as emergency shelters. The Crimson Ravagers cultivated gardens of glowing plants that could provide food and light. The Void Stalkers patrolled the station peacefully, their predatory instincts channeled into protection instead of violence. The Nightmare Strider carried heavy equipment that would have taken machines to move. Dr. Morris recorded everything. "This is what we should have been doing from the beginning. Not domination. Partnership." She turned to General Hayes. "These creatures are performing better than any combat-trained monsters I've seen. And they're happy. Look at them." But General Hayes was not convinced. She contacted Alliance Command and issued an ultimatum. Either Maya submitted to military authority immediately, or Outpost Zeta 9 would be classified as a rogue element and dealt with accordingly. The message was clear. Cooperate or be destroyed. The standoff lasted 3 days. Maya and the creatures stayed in the central habitat area. The military surrounded them but did not attack. During those 3 days, something unexpected happened. Kevin Hughes contacted Maya through the secure channel Peter had built. His voice was quiet and ashamed. "You were right. I've been thinking about what you said. The creatures I work with, they hate me. They obey because they have no choice, but there's no trust, no connection. I'm just another person hurting them." He was not the only one. Across the Alliance network, hunters were watching the situation at Outpost Zeta 9. Video of Maya working with the creatures had leaked somehow. Peter swore it was not him, but nobody believed that. Hunters saw creatures that were supposed to be deadly working peacefully. They saw monsters that seemed happy instead of angry. Questions began spreading. Why were they forcing obedience when cooperation seemed to work better? Dr. Morris presented her complete findings to the Alliance Council directly. The hunter system was broken, she argued. Decades of forced dominance had created traumatized, unstable creatures. Maya's approach yielded cooperative, stable, and more effective results. The Council faced a difficult choice. They could admit their entire system was wrong, or they could suppress the evidence and continue as before. The decision came through on the 4th day. Maya would not be promoted to S-Class through traditional rankings. Instead, the Alliance created a new category called Companion Class, with the designation C'. The focus would shift from control to cooperation, from dominance to partnership. It was a complete revolution in how humanity interacted with monster species. Not everyone accepted the change. Amanda Price refused to adapt and left the Hunter program entirely. She could not accept that her A-class methods were harmful. Many Old Guard hunters felt the same way. But the results spoke for themselves. Creatures handled with the new methods performed better and lived longer. Attack incidents dropped by 60% in regions that adopted the protocols. Outpost Zeta 9 was redesigned and renamed Sanctuary Station. It became the Alliance's first cooperative monster relations facility. Hunters from across the galaxy came to learn the new methods. Danny Foster, Linda Carter, and Peter Brooks became the first C' instructors. Greg Palmer was promoted to station director and finally got his B-class ranking back, though he joked that he preferred being around failures who succeeded than successes who failed. Kevin Hughes transferred from his prestigious position to retrain at Sanctuary Station. It took him months to unlearn the old methods. The first time one of his creatures approached him without being forced, he cried. "I've been doing this for 3 years and never realized how much they hated me," he told Maya. "Thank you for showing me there's a better way." Maya's creatures became ambassadors to other species. Shadow, the Void Stalker, helped negotiate with a wild pack that was threatening a colony. The investigation revealed the colony had been built on the pack's breeding grounds. Through Shadow's help, Maya arranged a peaceful relocation. Both the colony and the pack survived. Similar successes happened across the frontier. 6 months after the standoff, Dr. Morris approached Maya with a new mission. Reports were coming in about a massive creature at the edge of known space. It was being called the Galaxy Devourer because of its enormous size. 3 military fleets had tried to kill it and failed. 2 hunter teams had attempted to control it and never returned. They want to send a nuclear strike, Dr. Morris explained. But I convinced them to let you try first. If anyone can reach this creature, it's you. Maya assembled a team of former F-class hunters. They traveled for 3 weeks to reach the edge of known space. When they finally saw the Galaxy Devourer, even Maya felt afraid. It was the size of a small moon, with countless tentacles drifting through space like cosmic rivers. Its body seemed to be made of starlight and darkness mixed together. Every sensor on their ship screamed warnings about radiation and gravitational distortions. But Maya studied the creature carefully. Its movements were not aggressive. They were slow and hesitant, like it was lost. Maybe it's not a monster, Maya said quietly. Maybe it's just scared and alone. Danny Foster looked at her like she was crazy. That thing could swallow our ship without noticing. Linda Carter shook her head. She's right though. Look at the pattern. It's not hunting. It's wandering. Maya put on her environmental suit and had herself transported outside the ship in a small pod. Her team watched nervously as she drifted toward the Galaxy Devourer. Shadow and the other creatures that had come with them stayed close to the ship, trusting her but ready to help if needed. The creature's thousands of eyes focused on Maya as she approached. Each eye was the size of her entire pod. She activated her external speakers and spoke. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to understand. Are you lost? Are you looking for something? The Galaxy Devourer did not respond at first. Then, slowly, carefully, one of its massive tentacles reached toward her pod. Maya extended her hand against the pod's window. The tentacle touched the window gently, and in that moment, she felt something. Not words, but emotions. Loneliness. Confusion. Grief. This creature had lost its way home and had been searching for millions of years. It did not want to hurt anyone. It just wanted to find where it belonged. Back at Sanctuary Station, Greg Palmer recorded a message to Alliance Command. F-Class no longer means failure. It means we failed them, not the other way around. We spent a century trying to break creatures into tools. Maya Collins spent a week trying to understand them as living beings. The results speak for themselves. The camera panned across the station, showing creatures and humans working together, coexisting peacefully. Maya sat among a group of nightmare striders, teaching new C-Prime candidates. She looked up at the camera and smiled. Connection isn't weakness. It never was. It's the strongest thing we have.